worst clap ever. What the hell happened there? There we go. All right. Morning, everybody. Robert League National Fire Radio here at Jeremy Dodge.
Hey, guys.
And our guest in the studio this morning is Jared Van Eck from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Spartanburg, South Carolina.
So
Great story. We've been, I've known Jared now for many, many years, but I don't know barely any of his stories. We've just known each other on the fire end of things for many years, from jobs and so on. Absolutely. Jared is a New Jersey boy that's now transplanted down to South Carolina with quite a story, and I'm looking forward to getting that story out. And Jared, thanks for joining us this morning, man.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
It's cool. Quick little backstory. I reached out to Jared very early on when we started National Fire Radio because I knew of his story, and I don't want to give much of it away. I want Jared to tell the story because the way he tells it is really romantic in a way that I think it is, because I think a lot of people will fall in line with what you have to say and understand the message, and so on. So, but really cool. I reached out to him months and months ago, and I said, hey man, we're doing this crazy thing, and just keep an eye on us, and we'd love to get together one day. And Jared, your daughter? Go ahead.
Youngest daughter. Had to bring her up to Ramapo College this weekend. Drop her off.
Yeah.
A little emotional.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's all good.
Yeah. And so you reached out and said, hey man, I'm going to be up here if there's opportunity. I said, yeah, let's get him in. So here we are, Monday morning of Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day, everyone.
Happy Labor Day. Sitting in the studio this morning with a 9 a.m. studio call here. So I thank you for joining us and taking some time out. And
thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
This is good
after a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into it. Yeah. We always talk about first fires, and we always talk about where do you want to go with this, Rob?
Well, let's start off with we got to keep that tradition going. What was your first fire? Like, when did you get into the fire service, and when was your first job?
Well, I joined in 1991, Baltimore Fire Department. Man, that's a long time ago. We're talking 27 and a half years we're coming up on now. So stretching back that far that's quite a reach.
Yeah.
But I think the one of the fires that stands out earliest on was a basement fire. Now, we know basement fires. That's a tough fire.
Sure.
Regardless. So for a first fire, it was even tougher. And it was during the day. I think it was like an early afternoon. So manpower, usually during the day is limited.
Yeah.
And it was in our first due, Engine 3's first due, and we rolled up, and black smoke just belching out of the basement, and stretching that first line in, like crawling down a chimney.
Yep.
Crawling down a chimney. Very tough, tough to find the seat of the fire. Basement compartmentalized, trying to sift through, the different rooms and the debris down there. Just really tough job. But just it makes it all worth it.
Right.
It's like it was hard, and we took a pretty good beating. But once you're done, I was just like on a high. I could have packed every inch of hose on a fire scene myself.
I bet.
I would have been good with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. And that's the thing, right? Like, you talk about jobs, and, we do training, and this is, something you just said. We do all this training with our guys in-house, but we train in, like, open rooms, right? Acquired structures. There's no furniture. There's no debris. You're talking about a basement job. Zero visibility. High heat.
Mm-hmm.
And you got shit falling on top of you. Shelves falling over. Furniture being moved. It's never easy. And I think, and for that to be your first fire, adrenaline kicking, right? Like, that's
big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And not knowing, looking back now, it's like, man, I didn't know even a fraction of what I know now, with still so much more to learn.
Right.
So really, you think to yourself, did I just get lucky that nothing happened? It's something you think about.
I had a fire down in PG County in a Lewisdale house, and it was a basement fire, and it was a furnished basement, and I went left. I tripped on a bed that was like a mattress just on a milk crate on the floor. I remember tumbling on this thing, and just when I finally landed, I'm like, where am I? I just moved over, and it was like a king-size mattress in this basement. I'm like, how did I even get this down here? But it was just, and it kind of freaked me out for a minute. I was like, where am I? Where's my partner? Does he even know I just got lost in the sheets over here? And then, worked out well. But
But it makes you think.
Yeah, I don't like basement fires.
No, and we've talked about that on
Yeah.
this show before, and it's just to get down there, right? I mean, you like you said, through the chimney. I mean, it's none of us like them. Ventilation's huge, and so on. But that's a pretty good first story. That's I remember, the reason why we bring up like what's your first fire, because I think it sets the tone for like learning about you, because it's your energy going into it. You said that you could have packed all the hose. I mean, it's like, I get it, man. I remember my first couple fires and the adrenaline. I mean, we all still get the adrenaline, but first couple ones, man, you said it. Like, I don't even know if I did it right. I don't know if I was lucky or,
Exactly.
when you come out of the academy and you catch your first couple fires, and especially like if you're lucky enough to be on the nozzle or a backup or something, I mean, you're just talking the water on a fire. So, you're going into this thing and you're pushing down hallways or going into places that you're like, I don't know. But are you even thinking I'm thinking about that. Like, are we even thinking about that as we go? You're so blinded in the beginning. Like, I don't know. Now I take in, over years
you're
with
like this.
Right.
Whereas you were probably like that initially.
Right.
There's so much more that you have to take in. I mean, knowing what you know now.
Sure.
There's
And
so many more things to consider.
And I think that's the issue with company officers, is being able to know the guys you have and what their vision and thought process is going into the fire, not just their technical skills, but also what they know, what they and so on. I mean, those are all things for another show, but I mean, it's that's good, man.
Yeah, with
like
a volunteer crew, I mean, especially like I mentioned during the day, I mean, you're not sure exactly who you're going to get.
Right.
So that plays into it as well. That's a big difference now, being on the career side. I'm usually with the same 3 or 4 guys for the majority of the time, and we've been together for a while now. We're starting to develop that good, crew sense of, we don't have to speak,
right,
because we know what each other, what we're going to do.
That's great. Yeah.
So let's talk about your career job, because I know you're up here in Hawthorne, but you're in South Carolina now.
Spartanburg City, South Carolina.
All right. And how'd you get there? I mean, obviously you didn't walk. We couldn't.
No.
You're in shape enough. But.
That's a little bit of a walk.
Yeah.
I have a family that transplanted to South Carolina, many years ago, over 25 years ago, and we vacationed out on the coast of South Carolina for almost 20 years now. Family vacation. I was really close with my family, my aunts, uncles, and cousins when they lived up here.
Mm-hmm.
So going down there, we all would get together and vacation again, and we loved South Carolina.
Yeah,
it's just beautiful place to be. And my aunt, like we talked about a little bit before, my aunt mentioned it. She's like, Jared, why don't you be a firefighter down here? And I'm like, yeah, I could probably do it. But this is 15 years ago or more maybe. So it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago, I had been working at my job up here, already past the age limit to be a career firefighter in the state of New Jersey. South Carolina does not have an age limit.
I think New Jersey's 35, right?
I believe
it
it is.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
you have to be on the list.
Approved on the list
Yeah.
before 35, I think, right?
So I went down to South Carolina. We had gone down to South Carolina several times. We liked it. I asked my wife. I said, what would you think? If we moved down there. And she said, yeah, I think I could do it. So obviously that was a big determinant factor right there. I had put out probably about 26 applications just around the state, everywhere from at the coast to the upstate where I am currently. I got some response back from a couple different fire departments, talked to a couple different chiefs, and the opportunity came up for Spartanburg. Had a mutual friend already down there, had just started with the department, so he put a good word in for me.
Nice.
And I rolled right in December of 2014.
Awesome. And I think that one thing that I really like about this story, just right off the bat, is that you took this leap down south, because I know when people ask me hey, I want to be a career fireman, what do I do? How do I get on your job? I'm like, my job's very difficult. It's a competitive market, civil service. It's the Northeast. And I tell guys all the time, especially the young kids, go down south, start looking at places, and you were able to do that. And I think that's That's pretty amazing, because a lot of people they get stuck, and then they don't follow that dream wherever it may be, and then they just don't end up getting
And
getting it.
I think the other thing too is I always tell on some of the proud moments I have with being a volunteer is that we've put out through my department tons of career guys. We've, I think, set the tone in our department how important the job is, and guys fall in love with the job because of our department,
Right.
and then they want to make it a career, and I think that's that's like a feather in our cap, and I'll take that with me. I mean that's a big one for us. But for you, I know you and I knew each other on a fire ground. We've fought a couple fires together and so on over the years before you decided to move. But I'm taken back by your story, thinking about how you had to uproot and change your whole life. I mean, a little background about you: wife, 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
And they were in what position in life at the time? When maybe you could hit on that a little bit,
Sure.
because it goes to the story, and it just I'd love to hear it.
Sure. Well, like I said, my wife Mary and my 2 daughters, Rachel and Leah.
Yeah.
When we were making this decision, Rachel was a senior in high school, and Leah was a freshman. So, right there, I want to tell you something.
Yeah, right. My gosh.
We had decided that we're not gonna pull Rachel out of high school in her senior year.
Right.
That would not have scored a whole lot of points with me.
No. Right.
Leah being a freshman, I don't think she liked it a whole lot either, but it was a little easier of a decision. So what ended up happening is, because I went through the process, and it happened pretty much between August and December. August is when I tested, had the job locked down by October, and then I started the beginning of December. We sold our house in Hawthorne, and my wife and kids moved in with her parents over in Haledon, and then I went down to South Carolina, and I lived with my aunt and uncle. And it was kind of like a rite of passage in the family, because my aunt and uncle did the same thing.
Oh, no kidding.
My uncle came down there
That's
first,
awesome.
and then my aunt followed or lived with his parents.
Right.
So it was just kind of like a rite of passage.
Of course,
I lived with them
yeah.
about 6 months. Came back, so my daughter graduated Hawthorne High School, and then she ended up staying up here, going to Bergen Community College for a little while. And my wife and my youngest daughter Leah, they came down the end of June that year, in 2015.
Wow.
Moved in. We had found a house. My wife made a few trips prior. We found a house, bought it. And
Yeah.
Just moved right in.
And your youngest daughter then finished high school in
She finished high school in South Carolina.
South Carolina. And your oldest stayed up here in school, and then eventually came down.
Right. She only stayed up here about a year, and then she transitioned to South Carolina as well, and she was very happy to do so.
Yeah.
When she did.
Do you think the kids in particular, like, if we asked them now, probably off camera because they wouldn't want to, don't want to look bad, but like, do you think they know how big of a move this was for you? Like, do they understand that? Like,
I think they do.
Okay, that's awesome.
I mean, the fire department was such a big part
Yeah.
of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, they were involved in it as well, since we took them, everywhere, to the firehouse,
Yep.
for picnics, parties, parades,
Right.
And they even, were on a couple fire scenes, and saw, how things went. So yeah,
Sure.
I think they would understand, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that, that just is a story, right? Making those sacrifices. I mean, the other thing, too, is we have listeners from all over the globe and all over the country. And New Jersey, New York area is very unique when it comes to living. And a lot of it has to do with the cost of living.
Yes.
And so on. And so for you to uproot out of your own career that you've been at for over 20 years.
Right.
And finally, at the age of, what was it?
42.
42 years old, to say, you know what, I got to make a life-changing decision here because
Yeah.
I'm not in the place I want to be. I'm only paraphrasing, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. But
No,
I'm thinking about that because I'm 41 years old, and I'm thinking right now is like, wow, with my kids and coming home and making that decision to say, hey, honey, I'm thinking about making a total career change, and oh, by the way, we got to move. And oh, by the way, we're going to be separated for 6 months,
Yeah.
or
It was not easy.
No.
It was not, and
No.
sometimes I really have to stop and I have to think about what I really did.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes out when someone like yourself, or even like the guys in South Carolina, said, how'd you get here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell them, and then it makes me stop and think, wow, holy crap. I just took my whole family and just said, all right, we're out of here, and now we're here.
But you know what's amazing? Because I look at that, and I know so many people that are just unhappy in life. We all do. We all have friends that are unhappy. We have people that aren't doing what they want to do. They're not following their dreams. And you did. And I think, Jared, that's huge because you're a happy guy.
I am now.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I wasn't always.
Right.
Generally, there's different aspects of everybody's life that, you would like to see a change or do something different. But now I can say, pretty much across the board, I'm satisfied. Never completely satisfied because you want to do better.
Of course.
But where I am.
But life is good.
Life is pretty good.
That's awesome.
That
Part of the message, and I just think there's so many guys that you have to understand, if you want the job's out there. Mm-hmm. You might have to make some sacrifices or personal sacrifices. You might have to move. You might have to leave what's comfortable to go find something new. But the jobs are out there.
Well, I think that's what I get about his story that's amazing is because there's so many people that I talk to who are, it's very uncomfortable to say, like, listen, I'm telling you, you can go down to this place in this southern state and test out. It's going to be worth it. Like, you have a shot. Your work ethic is there.
Yep.
You can do it. And they have such trepidation about going down there. But then I look at somebody like Jared who's like, hey, I'm 20 years into this job, and I'm going to go at 42 with my family and navigate two female teenagers. Like, that are, one's a senior and one's a freshman. Like, that alone, I'm sure he's gotten like a dad medal for. But like, because he's still alive.
I don't know yet. Well, maybe someday.
Yeah,
I'm sure things are good.
But Rob is right about like the job opportunity. And I tested several times in New Jersey, and unfortunately came up empty.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, I believe that was for a reason. Mm-hmm. Because even though I was, 42 when I started the career job, I think I was very well prepared. I really transitioned, and even the guys down in Spartanburg said, they're like, man, you transitioned really well into here. That's because, I had so much time riding with Hawthorne. I also rode with Patterson as an auxiliary firefighter, so mm-hmm. I was working 24-hour shifts with them. The experience was invaluable, just to bring me where I am now. But mm-hmm. yeah, I couldn't say it enough. The South, needs firefighters, and they need good firefighters.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about it, stop thinking, start doing, because it's definitely worth it. It's a little bit. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
It's different from being up north. It doesn't have, all those things attached to it. It's very. If I had to use a word, I would say it's more humble.
Well,
more low key.
Let's talk about Spartanburg for a minute here, and
sure.
kind of dive into the job. So, what's the makeup of the department? Like engines, trucks, rescues, left-handed smoke shifters. What do you got?
City of Spartanburg, we have 5 stations.
Okay.
We run 4 engine companies, a rescue company, and a ladder company. The ladder company, we have a 95-foot tower ladder, and we have a 75-foot quint. So they actually jump apparatus. So if the call is for a residential structure fire, they'll take the stick. If it's for a commercial structure fire, they'll take the tower. So I had
So that's like some real good diversity in your shift.
Yeah.
And it's a mid-mount or a rear mount. So
yeah.
like even that's got to be fun driving, because all of a sudden I know what driving a mid-mount's like versus driving a straight stick. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, but hold on, because now, yeah, right.
I'm watching this smile. Wait, before
yeah, I'm an operational guy, right? So like, I'm just whatever works, and I say this because we get people all the time. They're like, oh, and I go, listen, if it works for you, it works for you. Like I'm not judging. I want to know the mindset behind that. Is there? You got 2 different trucks. Why is the straight stick good for residential and the tower ladder is good for commercial?
That's a really good question.
Okay.
And I don't know that I have all the answers
no,
to that.
Right. But
I think on the onset is that the makeup of the city of Spartanburg definitely warrants 2 ladder trucks.
Yeah.
But the issue is staffing.
Of course.
We have 69 I believe, 69 line firefighters over 3 shifts.
Right.
We worked 24/48. So I think, yeah, ideally, to run 2 trucks
I get it.
would be the way to go.
Sure.
Right.
But due to manpower,
And,
Yeah.
and I'm sure
that's why they chose to
in one
operate
way
that
too,
way.
it's a tactics thing of like looking at like, taxpayer type commercial occupancies and other occupancies, box stores, like how I'm
Yeah.
sure they've played into that.
I
a
get
little
it.
bit,
I
but
mean,
still,
right? Yeah, big commercial building, heavy fire load. We go to a tower ladder operation. It's tower ladders put out fires. Ladders are for ventilation, egress, blah blah blah. I get all that. I mean, I get that. That's really unique. It's like, what's the address?
is.
Okay, get on the tower. What's the address? Get on the
exactly. Whatever
quick.
whatever
So,
it comes in.
That's pretty interesting.
But the way they dispatch, I mean, they'll dispatch it as a business
Right.
fire
Gotcha.
or a residential structure fire.
Right.
So initially they know where they got to go, but it's a little dicey because you don't want to forget anything.
Yeah.
Some guys are like, whoa, hold on, I gotta get my mask. Because you're jumping trucks.
Yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it gets a little dicey.
That's pretty interesting.
But it's neat.
We have to cross staff apparatus where I work, and that's one of the things I went out and found myself a second mask.
Yeah.
And just get fit tested with it every year, so we're okay.
So 4 engines, a truck, and a rescue.
Yeah.
2 trucks, but staffed by
Yeah.
one company, right?
Right.
Okay.
So we're running 6 companies.
And then this is the city, right? You were explaining to me earlier. This is the city of Spartanburg, but then there's also the county, right? You're surrounded by the county,
Right.
and then you have some automatics that you go into the county and
Correct.
they come in and so on and so forth. Do you? How many guys are on you're on the engine company, right? 63 engine, right?
Yes, sir.
So how many guys do you run on your shift?
On our shift, each shift can hold 23 currently.
Okay, and then how many are on your engine?
We have a crew of 4.
Nice.
Minimum staffing being 3.
Okay.
So, with the turnover
Mhm.
and vacations and whatnot, most of the time we have 3. Occasionally we have 4.
Okay. And you have a boss in house? Every company has a boss.
every company is going to have either a lieutenant or a captain.
Gotcha.
The engineers hold the rank of sergeant, and that comes from the old public safety realm.
Okay.
But the position is engineer.
Gotcha.
That's currently what I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Ah, so you're wheeling.
I'm wheeling.
Cool.
But and I'll tell you what, it's very nice. And if you ask the other guys in Spartanburg, they say being the engineer is probably the best job in the department because you drive, and depending on if you're second due, third due, you could still end up fighting fire.
Right.
You go into the county, and it's the same deal. Depending, first engine's going to be fire tax, second's going to be water supply, third is going to be RIT, fourth engine is going to take the backup line.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on where you fall, I mean, I could be in there fighting fire, I could drive. In the absence of the lieutenant, I move up and ride the seat.
Oh, okay.
So really, you get the best,
Yeah.
Best spot, yeah.
best of both worlds.
That's cool.
All the worlds.
What's the what is the firefighting culture like in Spartanburg? Spartanburg. I keep saying Spartans, like I'm adding an extra S in there.
As far as
No, like just your like dragon line culture, as far as like the firefighters themselves, I mean, like I assume we talked a little bit before about some similar cities in the past and where Spartanburg was to where it is now, but is it still a busy fire city? Are you still seeing the work? Are the guys happy to do the work? I mean, are they? I assume I don't know any firefighters that are like, oh man, we're going to a fire.
Oh, another one?
Knew I should have called out.
I'll tell you what, I can't speak at length about it because I wasn't there at the time, but if you go back 10 years or more, these guys were laying out probably twice a shift. That's how much fire duty that they were seeing. I mean, it was significant. I'm not sure what year it was, but in the firehouse run survey, they were near the top of the list for working fires. Like per square mile.
Yeah. Wow.
This fire duty is significantly less now because just a lot of the areas. I'm on the north side of Spartanburg, and that was a very hot area, and the area the blocks immediately around my station are mostly vacant now because everything has either been burned out or torn down.
Yeah.
So, but
is it a city being revitalized? Was it a tough city at one point?
A very very tough city.
Yeah.
A lot of crime, a lot of drugs, and there still is in sections. But the city itself is revitalizing.
Nice.
There's a lot of development going on from within. They're not expanding the way they were previously. But there's a lot of initiatives, specifically on the north side. There's a north side initiative to restore that entire neighborhood with community centers and parks and just, you know, communities of, you know, homes. So that's ongoing, and there's a lot of big players, you know, from the Spartanburg area that are involved in that. But there's a ton of development going on downtown, and I think that Spartanburg is going to be the place, you know, a really great place to be. You know,
it's so hopeful to hear this. I mean, we had Chief Terry Ehlers from Newburgh, city of Newburgh, New York, which is another like tough city, and it's just good to hear that these little cities that have been plagued with crime and drugs and so on are starting and fell into disrepair are starting to come around a little bit. People are starting to pump some money back into these cities. I think it's good. I think it's great.
But as far as the culture,
yeah.
I mean, we are very much about, you know, stretching lines and, you know, basic firemanship, throwing ladders. I mean, we don't have the manpower to, you know, just throw, you know, tons of people at a scene.
Right.
And if I could tell you quickly about like one of my first fires in the city, I mean, I knew we were dealing with about, you know, 23 guys a shift or 22 guys a shift. They always hold one company back to cover the city in the event of a working fire. So we roll up on a fire. We got fire through the roof. I'm with the ladder company. We have 4 guys that day, so they split me, send me with the rescue company, and I hooked up with my buddy. We go in, start a search, and we crawl on through, and we sweep the whole area. It's vacant. Come back out. Now, normally back in New Jersey, you come out of a building fire. What do you see on the front lawn? Just a sea of firemen, just clamoring to get in the door, right?
Right.
We come out that door, crickets. Man, crickets. 2-man RIT team standing over by the tree.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's get another cylinder. Well, let's go. We got some ceilings to pull.
Yeah, that's great.
But you know, that's exactly, you know, it's getting back to that basic firemanship, throwing ladders, stretching lines.
Well, and I think just like for all those younger viewers out there, listeners, because when I hit on like this is where I was kind of trying to lead you to, is that here you have this department that you've gotten hired with, and you're getting work, and you can have your sights set on any department, you know, the Taj Mahal of fire departments, but like, you know, at these places down south, it's a place like Spartanburg, you're going to get that work, you're going to get the experience, and you have to always ask yourself, which one's going to make me happy? Am I going to be happy making $165,000 a year running Smells Bells and maybe a person who fell? Or here I'm down there and it's very much the job, and it seems like very much that tradition and that hard work is in there.
So real quick, you know, Rob brings up a good point, you know, and there's kids that want to be New York City firemen, and there's a lot of firehouses in the city that don't go to fires.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it's you know, it's that stigma that there's plenty of work to go around, and you have to be willing to go out and find the jobs, and there's jobs out there. You have to go out and get them. My thing is this: you bring up this word that keeps popping up in this room, and that's firemanship.
I wrote it down.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that word. Like, we were talking to Deputy Chief Kalman from Hackensack, who his son Chris is on Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And Harrisburg is a common theme in here too, because it's a little city. They do a tremendous amount of fire load.
Yes, they do.
And their guys are really squared away. And those guys are expected to blow through at least 2 cylinders before they can even get a glass of water. And it's that type of mentality. And they do this thing called the art of firemanship. And firemanship is just such a cool word that I think we need to explore more, because I think, you know, we talk about, and we've talked about in here too, and I hate rehashing all these things, but I love it because these themes keep coming through. We talked about guys that go to a job and they get 5 minutes of work, and then they have to go outside because there's other guys that have to rotate through, and they don't get to burn a cylinder, they don't get to burn 2 cylinders, they don't get to get their ass kicked. And I think that's such an important thing, because that's how you learn, right? Yeah. Like, you can go to 1,000 fires, but if you only work for 5 minutes at each fire, how much experience are you gaining, right?
Yeah, you've limited yourself.
Right. And I think that's important. And like you said, you learned the firemanship there, that, you know, okay, we did a search, we come out, you know what, let's throw a couple ladders, let's get back in, let's pull some ceilings, you know, and so on. And I think that firemanship word is awesome. I think, Rob, we got to explore that further, because that's it sums it up very well. And I think that firemanship, quote unquote, is getting lost. I really do.
I would agree with you.
Yeah,
I would agree, and that's something that we need to get back to, and make sure. And I know you've discussed this with other guests as well, but passing that on to the younger generation.
Yeah,
because they need to know how things, got done 20 years ago, because that's really the way it could still be done.
Sure can. I mean, it might change a little bit here or there, some tweaks, but the core message and core values still need to stand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let me ask you, from a New Jersey point of view to a South Carolina point of view, I mean, I just know in life it's completely different. Yes. Everything's different, right? Yeah. The pace, we're in the Northeast, everything's 1,000 miles an hour.
Yes,
Down there,
sir.
things are a little more laid back.
Yeah.
In the fire service culture, I know you mentioned before in Spartanburg, where the firehouses are kind of institutional, that there's not a lot of culture, and you guys are trying to bring some culture back into the firehouses. Can you hit on that a little bit?
Sure. As I think I mentioned earlier, the city of Spartanburg, they were originally a fire department, and then they became a public safety department for I'm not sure how many years, and then they went back and separated police and fire again. Somewhere along the line, the fire stations just got stripped of the memorabilia, like stuff you have hanging here on the wall, tools and helmets and shields, and it was basically just a city building, and they had a fire truck in it.
Yep.
Since I got down there, like I said, there's a few other guys from up north that have also migrated down there, and collectively we're all trying to bring back that brotherhood. Just get involved more socially.
Sure.
Because that's a very big aspect of the brotherhood. Is,
without a doubt.
Sisterhood is being social, but stuff like T-shirts. Up here, that's a big thing.
Sure.
Down there, not so much. And that's fine. My station was the first station to bring back like this off-duty type T-shirt.
Company.
Yeah, company T-shirt. I mean, it's generated a lot of pride. We've done a lot of work in our station. We painted, we hung stuff back up on the walls, we got pictures, and just making it into what we all think a firehouse should be.
Yeah. Well, how is it challenging? I mean, I know you say you and a couple guys from the up north. I think we take for granted, like being in New Jersey outside New York City and this Northeast mentality, our firehouses are 100 years old. Like there's tradition, there's culture, and it just over the years, it's, it just keeps getting ingrained and instilled in us. And the amount of, yesterday I was in Oradell, New Jersey's firehouse with Stan Kufel, who did one of our episodes, and that place just screams tradition. It screams culture.
Yeah.
On the walls and everything.
Well. They have just a great display.
They have stuff that goes back 100 years ago, and photos and this and that. And to me, that's incredible. But I don't realize that outside of this area, that's not so common. And so I think we take for granted in the Northeast that we have this firehouse culture, and that we expect our members to learn the culture, and that gets into their blood, and then you try to build brotherhood and company pride that way. The fact that you guys brought back a company T-shirt and that was a big deal is to me like wow, like why wouldn't you, right?
And I mean the guys in Spartanburg, I mean they know the history, and Spartanburg has a lot of history. I don't even know all the history yet. I've only been there not quite 4 years yet, so everybody is contributing.
That's great.
To making stuff happen again, and it's spreading to the other stations, and it's really taken hold, and we're going to keep going with that.
I think it's awesome.
One of the things I picked up before, I wrote it down was a question, because you said you got down there at 42.
Yeah.
How was it for you coming into a department with your life experience, and then like how'd you mesh up with the senior man of the shift kind of thing?
Well, that's a really good question, and what I can say is, which is kind of funny, is I mean they thought I was a lot younger than I really was. So I mean that lends, I didn't have this gray mustache
right. Yeah,
at
but
that time. But when I got down there, a couple of masters said, you've got some experience behind you, and I said, yeah. And they said, well, how many years have you been a firefighter? I'm like 20, 24. Like 24, they're like, when did you start? When you were 8?
Yeah,
like,
no
how
kidding.
old are you?
That's great.
You know, they were thinking maybe I was like 32,
Yeah.
something like that. I'm like, no, I'm 42.
Yeah, but for people listening, you're in incredible shape, and we'll get into your fitness and all that too. I mean, that's a big sense of
Hard
pride
work.
for you. Absolutely.
It's hard work.
Absolutely.
But the guys in there were great. I mean, they never treated me like a rookie once.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got that ball busting that, you know,
Sure.
goes on in the firehouse and stuff, and I love that because it's just, you know, makes everything a little bit more fun and interesting.
Of course.
And it's not ruining the fire service for all those who are listening.
Yes, totally not. Totally not. But
That's
yeah, they never treated me like a rookie once. I mean,
Yeah.
I got respect, you know, off the bat, and I, you know, gave them, you know, equal respect. I identify with. I mean, I get along with everybody, and I think that's you know, really key to this job, is being able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that are my age, I mean, they're about ready to retire out, you know, within the next couple of years. So, you know, we can talk and we can have good conversations, but I also identify with the younger crowd. And my lieutenant is 33,
Right.
and I'm 46, but he's a wealth of knowledge.
Right.
You know, I've learned so much from these guys.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on firemanship, because they've had to do more with less.
Yeah.
They don't have this manpower like we have up here that they just throw at it. So I mean, these guys are hustling all the time because they have to.
Yeah.
They have no choice. So I've learned so much.
That's cool.
And very appreciative, you know, of that.
I think it goes to your character though too, because you know you're walking in as the new guy with 24 years of experience behind you, and you walk in, you have to. You were always in tune with the job, so you get it. But some guys don't get it.
Sure.
Like you gotta sit back. You gotta keep your mouth closed a little bit, even with all your experience. And
Absolutely.
you have to you gotta put out. And I think that's why you probably gained a lot of respect very quickly, was because I could see you putting your head down, working hard, and proving your worth, so that you get treated as an equal, because that's important.
Yeah, and that's a necessary. And
Absolutely.
the whole key to that, and I tell people all the time, it's attitude.
That's right.
Your attitude is what is going to make or break, you know, how you do, you know, wherever you are. And that was very important. And the same thing, anybody who does want to migrate south, you know, it's all about your mindset. It's very different from up here.
Yeah.
But you can do very well.
Yeah.
You know, you can excel.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, I just think attitude in general, not even just in the fire service, but in life, it's such an important trait to have. You know, the right attitude. It's lacking these days.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and that could be a whole nother
of
conversation,
course,
a whole nother
of
show.
course.
I know you've touched on you know,
Yeah.
generations before, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's challenges.
It sure
Challenges.
is. It sure is.
It definitely is.
So that's cool. So all right, so Spartanburg. So the culture's coming back. You're getting the culture back into the firehouses.
Yep, and I'm loving it.
Do you see an uptick in company pride? Are you starting to see?
Absolutely, all the stations. Yeah, they're getting together, doing more social events.
Yeah.
And you know, working on the T-shirts and the patches and the stickers and on the helmets. Our assistant, we recently got a new assistant chief of operations, and he said that he would like to get these patches made and put on the back roll-up doors of the apparatus.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, and that was
so you got
yeah,
buy-in
that was-
now. You know,
Yeah,
that's great.
That's pretty cool.
I was going to say that's part of the issue is
Yeah.
having management understand that some individual identities is important. It builds company pride and so on, but you got to have the management to subscribe to it.
Absolutely.
And I just want to touch on and the reason why I wanted to hit on this a bunch is just because we've had departments in other parts of the country reach out and say, you know, hey man, like, you know, we're jealous. You guys have all the talk about culture and tradition. And he's like, I go to work and our hallways are gray and it's like a hospital. You know, it's like, it's sterile. There's nothing on the walls. There's no this, there's no that.
Are you in a firehouse kitchen or a cafeteria at Boeing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Through this door, it will decide.
Yeah. And so, you know, for you, I mean, I like to hit on this because I think it's important, because I think you could help a lot of other departments out there with your message that you guys are going through this now. And it could be a few simple little steps to develop some company pride and some individualism, which I think is important. You know?
Yeah, and that lends itself to, you know, whoever you end up with, you know, at the station. one of the newer guys that we had come to our crew about a year and a half ago, young kid, but man, what a ball of fire. You know, great attitude, and what I really liked about him is that, like, he just got it. Like, you didn't have to explain brotherhood to him.
Right.
He just instinctively, I guess, knew what it was. So he was all about it. You know, whatever we were going to do, he's all about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that lends itself to, you know, making things happen a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because people are on board.
Right.
You know, they want to see improvements, and they want to see pride, and they want to see progress.
Well, that stuff is infectious, you know.
It is.
It gets to everybody.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good kind of infectious, you know.
It's good.
Yeah. So it's the other thing you have, like you said something before about your department fitness coordinator,
Yes, sir.
and I think that's pretty unique because we talk about fitness a lot. We write articles about it, and then we put memorials when people have heart attacks, and we're like, oh my God, this is so. But like, why don't you dive into that a little bit? Because I think we don't ever get anybody that's a subject matter expert here in the studio yet.
No, I don't know if I wouldn't go that far.
I will certainly admit I'm a subject matter expert in what not to do. You can look at my barbecuing on Instagram, but
That's funny.
Well, yes, I'm the fitness coordinator for Spartanburg City Fire Department. We just put together a fitness team, and in November we're actually going to be attending the IAFF Peer Fitness Trainer Program. It's a week-long course with about 2 months worth of pre-course work.
Nice.
To get us an ACE, the American Council on Exercise, certification. And basically what they will teach us is how to design fitness programs for fire departments and everything that goes into it, you know, from your conditioning to your nutrition, rest and recovery. So what we've had the opportunity to do, and in lieu of, well, we've recently had our last round of annual physicals in the department, and the chief saw a need that we need to do something now. So what we did is adopted 555 Fitness. They have several workout programs that will fit very nicely into, you know, the level that our personnel are at. When I get back, we're going to start the first session. We're going to do 2 sessions for our department every shift, 3 days, back to back, and we're going to put them through like an indoctrination, where we're going to show them proper body weight movements and then loaded movements, you know, how to increase their cardio, how to stretch, how to recover, nutrition. We're giving them all the basics at first, and then this is an ongoing progress, because fitness is not a destination. It's a journey.
It's a lifestyle, right?
It's not like one day you're going to arrive and say, okay, I've reached the pinnacle of fit. I'm now fit. No.
Yeah.
There is constant a need for an improvement. So we're going to give them the basics initially right off the bat, give them just enough to spur a little bit more thought, and, you know, maybe I should try this or I should be doing that. And then we're going to stay on top of it and kind of roll into eventually more advanced and try to get everybody to a level of fitness where, like I said, they're not going in there sucking down a cylinder in 5 minutes and then, you know, coming out and having to take a 20-minute break.
Right.
what's some advice you can give to firefighters that are out there? Because I know for myself, I struggle with this all the time, where I want to like work out, get in shape, and then I'm falling off the wagon. Probably like now, I think I'm usually, if I can get 72 hours in of me being like, yeah, I'm gonna work out, I'm pretty proud of that, and it's like a 3 strikes, I'm out, woohoo! But like, what are some things that people can do that can just improve their fitness, especially for us that are firefighters?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. What I recommend is, for somebody who's not been doing a whole lot of, you know, fitness type things, start out very slow. If you do get onto 55 Fitness's website, one of their workout programs is the Lean Fit Level 1.
Right.
And that's what we're going to be starting out a lot of our personnel on. And it's walking, it's body weight movements, air squat, push up, sit up, and it just starts you out very gradual. Like the first day of the first week, you may just walk for 20 minutes and then do 2 or 3 push-ups, sit-ups, air squats.
Right.
Then the next day that you work out, like you may give yourself a day of rest, it may be 25 minutes of walking, and then 5, 5, and 5 of your air squat, push-up, and sit-up. And then eventually through the 17 weeks, it's going to start bumping you up where you're jogging, and then you're running and doing intervals. Then you walk for a minute, then you jog for another 5 minutes, then walk for a minute. By the very end of 17 weeks, the last workout is like a 40-minute jog or run followed by 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 air squats as fast as you can do it. So if you stick with it on a 3-day week program,
Yeah.
by the end of that 17 weeks, you will see a significant difference in your work capacity. And I mean, that's what I would recommend is anything, start out slow, but be consistent, stay with it.
Okay.
A lot of people try to make many changes too quickly, and mentally you can't handle that. You know, you change your diet, you start a new workout program, add on to that everything you got going on already, family, work, maybe a second job. It's really, too tired.
Yeah, listen, I get it.
We talk.
I get it.
We talk about motivation and discipline, and I have a lot of people say, Jared, how do you stay so motivated, or what motivates you? And I tell them I'm not motivated all the time. Most of the time I'm not. I'm not very motivated at 4 a.m. when my alarm goes off to get up and go to the gym before my shift.
Right.
It's discipline. Discipline says you need to get up, fitness is important, go do it.
On the backside of the discipline, how important is sleep in all this? Because I think that's one.
Yeah.
I think it's a critical factor that's often overlooked is how much sleep people actually get, especially us that work in shift work, or just like we're all light sleepers, so we have a pager on at home and we're waiting for that that run to come in.
Sleep is very important. Now, everybody needs a different amount. I can function very well on like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Some people need 8, 7.5, 8. Once again, consistency is very important. So even if you're on shift, you can still make an effort to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, barring
Calls and everything else, yeah.
But when you're home, same thing. You want to follow and be consistent with what you do. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time. Weekend, holiday, shift day.
Right.
Doesn't matter what day. Mm-hmm. But consistency will lead to discipline.
Was that, and I think it was a Navy SEAL, gave a speech at a graduation for college students, and they said that making your bed every day is where it starts.
And
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So that kind of goes back to, it lends itself to the discipline of having that routine of getting, it just becomes a part of the routine.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the most important thing is to, like I said, start out slow, be consistent, and if you are, it'll lead to discipline.
Yeah, I mean, so from a standpoint of where I come from, I'm a bigger guy. Always been big. When I was in the best shape of my life playing high school and college sports, always carried extra weight on me. But I'm at that point where I'm feeling it now, and I'm like, it's time. But alarm already goes off at 5:30. Mm-hmm. I work 12 hours at my normal job.
Yeah.
And then everything at the firehouse as a volunteer. And then on top of that, this whole National Fire Radio thing that I decided to start. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it, and I'm not an excuse guy. Like, I always think there's room for improvement. Sure. I always think there's room to do what needs to be done. I look at it and I go, man, my problem is that I'm thinking about, everything's going to have to change. And I get the importance of it. I'm 41 years old. I'm carrying too much weight. I get it. I'm still in decent shape, but I'm not exercising like I used to.
Right.
And, and so on. And yeah, I'm probably blowing through a cylinder quicker than I should be now. No doubt. My thing is like I'm sitting here listening to you, and this has been a fantastic foot up my ass because I'm sitting here looking at you, and I'm like, man, this guy's sexy. And I'm like, no, I'm serious because, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying, you know what? Like, I deserve more. My kids deserve more. I used to smoke, right? Okay, so I used to smoke. I quit
for many years.
I quit smoking 10 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
11 years ago now when my daughter was born. And I told my wife, my wife hated it. And I was the type of smoker, I smoked like a pack a day. And it was because of boredom and work and not so much enjoying it, right? It was more just the routine of it. And then my wife hated it, and so I never smoked in front of her. But if we go away for the weekend, I'd freak out without one, and then I'd have to run out when we got home to have one, and that whole game, right?
Yes,
but
sir.
long story short is I decided that I needed to quit, and I quit. Cold turkey, one day, I said, I'm done.
I did exactly
and
the
I
same
was
way.
And I was able to do it, and I didn't struggle with it.
Right.
I did not struggle with quitting smoking. And so I know that I have the ability to make up my mind and set my mind to something and do it. So I know I can do it. It's just a matter of the discipline of saying, all right, well, I already get up at 5:30. Should I get up at 5 and spend 20 minutes or a half hour, just going for a walk or a jog,
Yep.
right? And and so on. So, I mean, I have that personal struggle that I have to find that, but I know I can. But I think it's so important. And I get, I just think about my kids, and I quit smoking because I was having a newborn baby, and I didn't want to smell like an ashtray when I kissed her, when I come home from work and hug my baby, and I didn't, all of that. And so, but I also look at it this way. Now I bust all my friends' chops that still smoke. And I said, you are such a selfish son of a bitch. And they go, what do you mean? I go, you're selfish. And they go, why? I said, because you know the detriment of smoking.
Yeah.
And yet you still do it. I go, what about your kids? I go, what if you have a heart attack at 45 because of, heart disease from smoking and this and that? I go, you know how bad it is for you. Why I go, you're selfish. And so it's busting chops. But I understand that. But then I look at it and I'm like, man, am I throwing stones, right? Because, I'm not living my healthiest lifestyle either, and I should be doing more of it. So, I mean, I give you all the credit in the world. I mean, you look great. I know you're a big Spartan race guy and you do a lot of Spartan races and so on. 555 Fitness, I've seen them on Instagram, right? You're not affiliated with them? You just do their programs
and just follow them. They're actually out of New Brunswick.
Okay.
Out of New Brunswick, New Jersey. Also follow Fit to Fight Fire.
Okay.
John Spera out of Aurora, Colorado. Another great resource. And Firefighter Functional Fitness. Dan Kerrigan and Jim Moss. If you want to learn about fitness needs for firefighters, get that book. I've read that book 3 times already.
Yeah.
Everything from recovery to nutrition, hydration. It's in there. They've hit it.
When did you get into fitness? Because I don't ever remember, like when you and I back in the day were fighting fires. Like I don't ever remember. I mean, you were always in shape, but I don't think you were. Yeah, like what got you? What was the motivation?
Well, it was like you said, quit smoking.
Okay.
10 years ago, cold turkey, and I came to the exact same realization: is someday I want to see my grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, why am I doing this? It's just, so I dumped that, but had to replace it with something.
Right.
So I started working out regularly, but not the intensity that I've, gone to over the years. But it was a slow, gradual. I self-educated myself by just, reading. I mean, the resources that are available out there, social media, on nutrition, and metabolic conditioning, there's so much. I've just over the years adopted, many different disciplines.
Right.
Most recently, CrossFit, which has been great, very functional. And it's something that firefighters that were functional, were occupational athletes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a
we-
big thing. I remember reading about what a Navy SEAL goes through in their training and in combat, like when they're doing like their peak performance, and what it's like for us when we put on all our turnout gear, drag a hose, you're on air and everything else, and how it's actually very much similar to the same. I don't know what the word is, but it's performance wise as far as the physical output of energy
METs.
that we're
the term they use is the metabolic equivalent of task.
Yes,
and generally they put firefighting at around a 12, and that's full gear carrying tools upstairs, but it jumps to about 16 in a hot environment, searching, with equipment, pulling somebody out. You're jumping up into the 16, 18 range, and
especially if we start doing RIT evolutions where we're pulling one of our own out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
very taxing, and that's what I think about a lot. Is way back before I decided to, get on top of my fitness game, is what was I putting myself through?
Yeah.
You know, going through all this stress with the heat, metabolically, and then coming outside and lighting up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Right?
I used to do it.
I
Throw my pack down on the bumper. You're standing there like rehabbing, and what do?
Have a smoke.
Fire up a Camel.
I mean, thousands of firemen did it.
Absolutely.
You know what they did? Smoke eaters. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You know, they all smoke cigarettes.
Right.
Dude, killing yourself.
Yeah.
You're just really, you know, it's just it's the worst thing. You're already putting your body through an incredible amount of stress. You don't want to add to it.
Right.
You know, so I mean, you hit it right on the head before. Like we said, like you already know. I don't even have to tell you,
Right.
but you have to decide that this is important to me.
Right.
And one of the things I say to people a lot is, okay, when you're 75 or 80 years old, do you want to play with your grandchildren in the backyard, or do you want them to visit you in the nursing home?
Right.
Your choice. But it all depends on what you do now.
Yep.
You know, it's
Yeah.
they say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Yeah.
So do it.
The
Make that
the
decision.
problem is, you know, and I don't know if it's cliche or not, but the problem is that this world is so now. It's instant gratification. It's now, not later, right? How many people aren't saving money anymore, right? How many people are doing the things that they want to do now and not worry about 20 years? Because I'll worry about 20 years when I get to 20 years.
Exactly.
But health's a different animal, and I agree. So, real quick then. So we're talking about fitness, and I'm glad we are because it's something we haven't hit on here, and I know it's such a huge part of your life. But let's take it a little bit different of a direction too. You work 24s, right? So you're doing 3 meals a day, or at least 2 meals a day in the firehouse.
3.
3? Okay.
Sometimes 4.
Right. Okay. Great.
Try
to. Right,
Sometimes
now-
that's a struggle.
I bet, and I bet a guy like you eat probably 6 times a day or something, right? Like
Try to.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't always work out.
So my thing is we always talk about the kitchen table, and we talk about, you know, part of the culture and tradition of the fire service is the kitchen table and sitting down, preparing a meal together, and then sitting down and breaking bread together. And so, and that is a traditional thing, especially in the Northeast firefighting. Like guys, they go to the store together, they buy a meal together, they come back to the firehouse, they cook together. But I also know, and Rob will vouch for this in their firehouse too, is that it happens now where 1 or 2 guys want to cook and just eat, and the other guys bring their own meals now, their own Tupperware with their set dietary things and so on. So the cooking as a company is starting to go away, I think. So my question to you, because I'm sure you have set meals and you know you're pretty regimented, I'm sure, in your diet, and firehouse cooking usually and typically is not the most healthy fare. So my thing is like, how do we not lose the culture in the kitchen if guys are bringing their own meals and we don't get that camaraderie? Like, can you just speak to that a little bit? Because please,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, now the South, there's some good cooking in the South.
Oh, I
I'll
bet.
tell you what.
Yeah.
Is it the healthiest thing for you? No, but
right.
man, does it taste good.
It feels good.
Absolutely.
I love it.
So I can give you an example. My station, when I got assigned to Station 3 over on the north side, the guy I was the relief driver firefighter at the time, and we had a different sergeant. And he was a big guy into working out, so we kind of gelled, you know, pretty well. Our lieutenant wasn't so much at the time, but as things evolved, we got our lieutenant to work out with us a little
Great.
bit more, and then we decided, hey, let's start preparing dinner. You know, let's at least cook that one meal. You know, breakfast and lunch, everybody kind of like did their own thing.
Right.
But the other important thing is eat together.
Okay.
You know, and I think that, you know, for this topic, okay, some guys are very regimented and they're going to have their specific meal. Other guys are going to want to cook. Other guys are going to grab something out. But at least bring it back to the station, sit at the table, eat together.
Yeah.
You don't have to eat the same thing, but eeating together, talk.
No, I like that.
You know,
I mean,
dump the phones.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
But we decided we would start cooking our meals. And, you know, I had asked my lieutenant if I could use him as an example for our upcoming fitness program in the city, and he was agreeable to that. So hopefully he'll be agreeable to me mentioning it here as well.
Cool.
He's lost 40 pounds
Wow.
over the last just over a year. And when he started regularly working out with us and also, you know, preparing at least that one meal. And I can see by watching him that some of my habits have carried over,
It's great.
and that
the theory is called the Kohler effect, and that states that people are going to push each other harder when working together as a group. So that lends to, if you guys cook together at the firehouse, the tendency is you're going to eat better.
Right.
You're going to eat healthier. Same thing, if you work out together, it's just like going to a fire. You work together, you get your ass kicked, but it's all high fives afterwards,
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same principle. But that has lended itself to a great improvement for my lieutenant. And he feels great, he looks great.
That's fantastic. I mean,
we're trying to push it. Say, here's a case study in our own fire department.
Right.
Look at it; it works.
And it's he's made the lifestyle change. It wasn't
Yeah.
me. I can go up and down and wait in a heartbeat. I
Sure.
can just cut out carbs. I can do this. I can do that, and I've done it all the time. And guess what happens? You run out of that energy or that desire to eat that way, and next thing you know, you pack the pounds back on. You're not losing them the right way.
Right.
That is a lifestyle change, and I think
Absolutely.
also then on your shift, you guys are that fitness shift that like guys say somebody else is into that, and they're like, hey, my firehouse isn't doing this. Maybe I can get on a shift with these guys one day, or I could promote it in my company now.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really taken hold. I mean, all three of our shifts now, already before we start our fitness program next week, they've already taken it upon themselves to get together as a shift at one point during the day and do some circuit training. We have a 6-story hose tower at our main station, so everybody comes down there, runs stairs with hose. Mm-hmm. We got the Kaiser sled out. We got the 175-pound dummy. I mean, the guys are just, they're really getting into it. I mean, not everybody participates at this point, but the buy-in is big. Like I said, we got roughly, on duty you have 20 to 23 guys, and the other day they had like 14 participated in the shift workout. I mean, that's
a win.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, and I think it's important too that the management recognizes the importance of it by putting together a commission, if you will, of you and a few other guys to develop this program.
Yes, and our assistant chief of administration has done a great job in allocating that money.
Yeah.
I was asked to write a specification for new equipment, and I mean, we got brand new equipment at all of our stations. We have, Concept 2 rowers, assault air bikes, we have power racks, bumper plates, Olympic bars, wall balls, bands.
Wow.
We have the equipment that we need. Not that you even need that equipment. If you look at 555, you can use anything in the firehouse. You use your ladders, your foam buckets, whatever. So I consider ourselves very fortunate, and we're going to still add to that equipment as we go down the road. But he's done a great job in making sure that we get that equipment. Yeah. Now we're going to put it to really good use and show a return on investment.
Yeah, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just to get back to that question though of the culture, that kitchen table culture. I mean, that's understanding that the importance of at least breaking bread together, whether you prepared it or not, and so on, and then doing the one meal a day. And then I'm guessing the meal that you're cooking is more healthy than your normal firehouse fare, which is good. I mean, that's
how do you have you come across the firefighters on shift or on the job who have not been brought up with good eating habits?
Oh yeah.
Because I know that's one of our problems that we have at work. Is there's some guys who are just like, yo, if it's green, I don't want it, and they're very and it's so frustrating because we have a blatant example of what happens when you don't eat green stuff, and everybody sees it all the time, but they continue to have this they're pretty much in a knockdown, drag out fight, and it's like, sometimes I just want to write them off and say like, hey, good luck. We'll see you in a little bit, but that's not the answer either.
No, it's not. I mean, and nothing's, it hasn't come down to that, but I mean, some people are just, they like to eat how they like to eat. Mm-hmm. And some people, and I can say this, are very picky. Because if you look back at me 15 years ago, 20 years ago, to when I was a child, man, I ate nothing. I ate hot dogs and Cheerios, man. Peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. That was it. I wouldn't, greens? No way. Now, kale, spinach, all kinds of, chicken prepared different ways, rice, sweet potatoes. I mean, that, that's a major part of my diet. Good fruits, blueberries, spices like cinnamon. I mean, this is stuff I never touched. Right. So I can understand when people say, man, hot dogs and chicken nuggets, man. That's what I want. But eventually, you need to get to a point
and make some kind of transition.
Yeah.
And I think some of like the older guys, they know. I mean, they like to eat how they eat, and they know they should be eating better, but they just haven't committed to it yet. And hopefully we can kind of help them along and show them that it's not just like plain chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways to prepare
Sure.
it so that it's exciting and you want to eat it.
Yeah, and I think like you hit on too the culture, right? As you know, 14 out of 26 guys are now subscribing to On Shift working out and so on. It's only a matter of time before it's 16 and then 18 and then because inherently as a group, I mean that's how it works, you know. And whether the guys are buying into the diet or not, when more and more guys are cooking together and enjoying that camaraderie of making that chicken and rice dish and it tastes good. Right?
Sure.
And they have to, you know, maybe those older guys are going to start to open up their horizons because other guys are doing it and it's becoming the norm. I think it's great because you're setting a new culture. And we talk about that here all the time. It's all about culture and tradition. You're setting new traditions too. You're taking Spartanburg Fire Department and saying, listen guys, we know the benefits of health. We know the benefits of working out and good diet. And as a department, not just a company, as a department, we're taking on this culture and saying we know how important it is for our job. It only betters us. It betters our health. It makes us live longer. X, Y, and Z. And as a department, this is the way we want to strive to be. And I think that's huge. You're setting that path of culture, and I think that's awesome.
I mean, a lot of guys don't think about that. Is that your fitness may determine whether I go home in the morning.
That's correct. I agree. I agree with you.
That's a hard truth, and some people don't want to hear that.
Right.
They just flat out don't want to hear it.
Right.
Because truth hurts.
You know, it's funny because we talk about like RIT training and, you know, you talk about, okay, fine. So you're the RIT team and you train on all different ways to remove firemen, you know, hose through the floor, the, you know, 2-to-1 mechanical with rope, like all these things to remove it down firemen, right? How to package them and this and that. But if you don't have the stamina to do any of it, right?
Exactly. What?
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's the thing. Or, you know, you're doing a search on the floor above and with that heat, it just drives you to the floor and it sucks everything out of you. And if you're out of shape, you know, you're not doing the job as well as you should be doing. I mean, everybody knows that. It's just making that conscious decision that, hey, I have to better myself in order to be a better fireman.
Exactly, because you have to take care of yourself first.
Right.
Because why are you here ultimately? For them.
Right.
Right? Your citizens.
I agree.
You owe it to them to be in top shape to handle their emergencies.
Yeah.
And then you owe it to your brother and sister firefighters to make sure that they go home the next morning.
Right.
And then, of course, you owe it to yourself because you have you and your family.
Right.
Your fitness affects a whole gamut of
I agree.
of things.
And
you know?
I hate-
It's not just you.
Yeah.
I agree and I hate you. So let's move on because I feel terrible about myself right now. No, I'm kidding. But you're absolutely right. And this has been a fantastic message. I mean, you know, and it's good to see that a fire department is willing to grasp onto it because usually it's not a department culture, it's individual culture. And I mean, think that's great.
If you look at the country as a whole, I think, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, but it's like 25 to 30% of fire departments have a like prescribed fitness program. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
It's
'Cause
not a
we
lot.
talked about it at work at one point, and it's like, and they always say, well, we have the gym, and it's like, yeah, you have a building that really hasn't changed since Jeremy was there, and it's a bunch of gym equipment. Like that's not actually, that's not what I don't think a legal definition of a gym is. You know, it's.
But listen, you can give everybody all the equipment in the world. If you don't give them the know-how and lay the groundwork and the foundation to say, hey, this is how you do it, you know, and, you know, we're going to work with everybody. It doesn't matter what condition you're in now, but we're going to get you to here, and we're going to give you that plan to get you there and support you 100. You know, that's it. The support and the plan is almost more important than the physicality of it and doing it.
Right, and I believe that's what we have put together that we'll be presenting next week. And like I said, we're going to stay on top of it, all the support that anybody. So look, if you need more individual attention, the chiefs have already cleared us. We could go out to the stations and work specifically with an individual crew that wants
That's awesome.
more.
That's cool.
If they're more advanced, we can help them there. If they need help with the basics, we're there, whatever they need.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, setting a new culture and starting new traditions.
It's exciting. It really is. And it's one more thing that makes me realize I'm very fortunate to have this job.
Yeah.
You know, and I love going there every shift.
It's awesome.
Every shift.
That's great, man. That really is. That's a wonderful story, and from where you started to where you are now, and you got so many more years ahead of you. And
and I'm looking forward to them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, what do you say? We want to wrap this up, and you know we've been going a while, but Jared, thank you, man. Like,
No, thank you. I
awesome.
really appreciate the
This was
opportunity.
great. I mean, it's been almost an hour and 20 minutes already. It goes
Flies
quick.
by.
It sure does. It sure does. But I want to thank you for being here, and what a great opportunity for you to be up here and for us just to capture your story.
Yeah,
and
it worked out great.
You know, it's funny. I had a guy the other night from South Carolina reach out just through direct message and said, like, hey, if you guys ever come down this way, feel free to stop by, look us up. So
I was just gonna tell you the same
yeah,
thing, man.
absolutely.
If you want
And
to take a road trip, I can put you up.
we have so many opportunities that are popping up for us, and it's funny because people are busting our chops online about National Fire Radio, but we're in New Jersey, and everything we're putting out is New Jersey. But
Right.
but the thing is, this is where we are right now.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I tell people. I said we got to start somewhere, and we've laid the groundwork here, and the amount of invites that are coming all over now are incredible. And so we're looking to do a lot more. Like your department, to me now, has gone from something I didn't know much about to like way up here. The fact that management on down subscribes to what you guys are subscribing to and have that belief system in place, I think it's fantastic, man. And I think you guys are so far ahead of the curve than most departments that you guys could potentially lay the groundwork for so many other departments to follow. And I
I
think
hope we
it's great.
can. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always been, I have the drive to kind of be ahead of the pack. I mean, I'm not satisfied with average or okay.
Oh,
Sure.
I
wanna be
really
out
didn't
there.
pick that up at all. An hour and a half to a year. I'm happy
make
you
it too obvious?
specified.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But no, yeah, and like I said, it's one thing when you get a department that's like, yeah, we're going to do this, but when they can pass a torch to you and say, listen, we lit it, we need you to run it, and you're like, hey, no problem, I got it, I'm off. Like,
Yep.
you're going to love the results.
Really cool.
So,
Really cool. I mean, happy to have you here, and we will take you up on that invite. We will find our way down there
just
eventually.
Let me know.
Yeah,
Just let
that's
me know.
cool.
I'm sure the guys down there, they'll be happy to take you in as well and
We'd love
show you what we do down south.
Yeah, and we get down there, maybe we could document some of that fitness and some of that lifestyle,
Absolutely.
and that would be really good.
That'd be fantastic.
But thank you. Thanks for trusting us with your story. I tell that to everybody, but I feel honored when guys are willing to come in and sit in the studio with us and share their personal stories and their life with us, and I thank you wholeheartedly because
thank you.
it's not easy.
I appreciate it a lot.
But,
Had
good.
a good time.
So anyway, well, guys, thank you. Thanks for checking us out as always. National Fire Radio. We're here. We're not going anywhere. With guys like this, Jared Van Eck from the Spartanburg, South Carolina Fire Department, New Jersey transplant. So we miss you up here, but we know you're kicking ass down there. So
Yes,
great
sir.
to see you again.
Every day.
And guys, for myself and Rob, take care. Thanks for following.
We're going. See you later.
Be good.
Scaring me. I got ice in my veins.